Welcome, my name is Caleb Fine and I am a business teacher at Park City High School. This is my demonstration for literacy strategies, summer course with Dr. Sample. Today I'm going to be teaching you all a sample of a lesson I would do for personal finance or financial literacy, and I hope you enjoy it. I now understand how awkward it is to be teaching in a classroom with no one in it, so I give you a lot of credit, Mrs. Sample, for teaching us when we're all on computers a long ways away. Without further ado, let's get started. Normally I start class with objectives, so I'm going to do that same thing with you. My first question is, do I have any students out there that would like to read today's objectives for us? Okay. Today's content objective. Educators will be able to identify the reasons why teenagers have credit card debt by reading an article and answering questions. Caleb, that was great. Now, do I have anybody that would like to read today's language objectives? Language objective. Educators will be able to explain orally their opinion about teenagers and credit card debt by participating in a Think, Pair, Share. Thanks again, Caleb. That was great language objective reading, and I liked your new shirt as well. It was awesome. Before we jump into today's credit card article, I want you to review a little bit in your stock market groups. I would like you to read out loud in your groups the following 3 questions on the board, and as a group discuss them. I'll give you about 3 minutes to do this in your group, and then I will call on groups at random to answer the 3 questions. Had your 3 minutes, let's go over the questions. First question, what is debt? Who wants it? Oh, group back there. Mr. Fine, the answer to number 1, what is debt, is what which is owed, usually money, but it can be things like moral obligations. Like if someone does you a favor, you might feel like they have to do you a favor. So it's just something owed. It's not always money. Excellent, Caleb. Great answer. I like specifically how you remembered that even though most of the time it's money, it's not always money owed. It's just something owed to someone or a business or somebody else. Question number 2, do I have any takers? 4, is all debt bad? Why or why not? Group in the back, we'll go with you. Mr. Fine. The answer to number 2, our group discussed it, and we think, based on last class, that all debt is not bad, even though there's a lot of debt we don't want. You explained to us, and as we watched in the Mortgage Madness video, buying a home can really be a positive, and most people have to go into some sort of debt to do that, as well as college loans. Getting an education, even though it may put you into debt for a period of time, is bad, but there are a lot of other debts that we quickly reviewed last class that are negative. Answer, but I just want to clarify, Caleb, when you said college debt is bad, are you sure college debt is a bad thing? Sorry, Mr. Fine, I must have been excited when I was answering the question. College debt is not necessarily a bad thing at all. It can be a huge positive, and as we talked about earlier this year, going to college, the earning power that is created through education is well worth the debt in the long run. That being said, if your parents can pay for college, take advantage of it. Oh, great clarification, Caleb. Thank you so much for that. Now let's go to the 3rd question. Do I have anybody in the front that can answer for me? What are some of the negative consequences of debt? Over there, Caleb, let's hear your answer. Fantastic, Caleb. Another awesome answer. I just wish all my students were as good as you guys, because you Calebs are just a captivating audience and you're in tune with the subject. It'd make it a lot easier. Anyway, fellas and ladies, today we are going to continue talking about debt, but we're going to go into more detail as how you as teenagers are affected by debt and how to avoid that negative debt by reading an article on credit card debt as a teenagers. But before we read that article, I want to give you some explicit instructions on previewing and predicting an article so we activate background knowledge and in turn comprehend the article to its utmost potential. Said before, I want to teach you before we read the article exactly what I mean by previewing and predicting what an article is about. The first one, I'm going to go through an example and I'm going to show you what I would do reading an article. This is an article I pulled out that I had clipped out a while ago. Has nothing to do with the subject we're reading about today in class, but it's still a subject where any article, it works for anything. It's not just about reading about credit cards or finance. It's anything. You should do it before you read a book in English. You should do it before you read an article in history. It works for everything. In this one, what I like to do personally and what I recommend you do is read the highlighted things. Always read the title of the article or the book, and then if there's anything bold along the way that would help you that you can pick out very quickly, it doesn't need to take a long time, you're going to do that. So let me do an example for you. A prediction example. In this article, it is called Park City Enjoys a Hoops Resurgence. And then I might read this first little bolded part as well. And it says, boys basketball, after last year's 2-win season, team tries to clinch home game in the playoffs. By reading that alone, I think I can predict a lot about what this article is about. First thing I'm going to say is, when reading this, I'm going to pick out any big words. Resurgence. I like that. That tells me something there. What does resurgence mean? If I were to define resurgence for you very quickly, I would say it means a resurrection, a restart, a trying to get better, growing, becoming better at something, bigger, bolder, those types of things. So right there I can say Park City Hoops. Hoops is what? It's basketball. You know I love basketball. I talk about it all the time, right? So right now I know we're talking about a place, Park City. Okay, hoops, a sport, and a resurgent, that it is getting better or growing or becoming better. So with those things in mind, I'm going to predict that this article is about Park City boys basketball, because it said boys basketball at the top, and how they're improving this season compared to last year. And maybe, I don't know what for sure it's going to say, but maybe some of the reasons they're improving. Like it might talk about players and that they're scoring a lot or their defense is very good. But anytime something improves, I would assume that the article would maybe not only imply that they're getting better, but ways in which this program or this team is improving. And then lastly, how they're planning on clinching the home playoff spot. Does anyone have any questions on how I previewed or predicted this article? All right. Now that I have done preview and prediction of an article on my own, I'm going to pass out another article for you. I would like each of you to take a chance to preview this article. I'd like you to jot down what you think the article is going to be about, predict what the article is going to be about. Remember, you're not reading the whole article. I want you to read the title. I want you to read any bold words, and then just predict and preview the article just like I did, and we'll chat about it together as a group. For the sake of time, we're going to jump past this, but typically in a classroom setting, I would actually give them 1 or 2 minutes to look at it, and then with their partners, they could chat about what they previewed and predicted the article to be about. And then as a class, we would quickly do that just so I could assess and make sure each of the students understood exactly what I wanted them to do prior to the main reading, which was the credit card assignment. All of this I would expect should take no more than 5 to 10 minutes. All right, now that we have worked on previewing and predicting, I'm about to hand out to you your article. Today you guys are reading How Teens Get Sucked into Credit Card Debt. Along with the article, I'm handing out your in-class reading assignment. Please note on this assignment, write your name. Okay, I don't like no-name assignments, but on top of that, there are pre-reading questions. That is your preview and predict, just like we talked about. Answer those before you read the article. Read the heading, read any bold words, answer the first 3 questions. Then I have during reading questions. I want you to read those questions before you read the article as well. After you've done the pre-reading questions, read your during reading questions. That way during your reading you'll be able to follow along with the questions and answer them as you go. And finally, when you are done, please answer the post-reading questions. There are 2 of them after you are finished reading the article. Of this time, if you want to pause the video, the class can go through the article and the assignment that I've attached. I imagine 5 to 10 minutes just to skim over it and see what it's about is plenty enough time. I would usually give my students more time, as the article itself may take 10 to 15 minutes to read, and then as well as answering the questions along the way, and then a few minutes to answer the post-reading questions. But 5 to 10 minutes should be adequate for this class at this time. Reading the article and answering the questions, I would, as a class group discussion, go through the pre-reading and during reading questions. For time's sake, we won't do that. But following that, I would really want to focus on Think, Pair, Share, because the 2 post-reading questions I have, I believe, are some of the most important to truly understanding the concept of why teenagers are going into credit card debt and how it can be so damaging and how they can avoid it ultimately. So the first one's mathematical, but the second one, why do you think so many teenagers are in credit card debt? I would have the students go into Think, Pair, Share, where they would partner up and chat with each other about what they wrote. Why I would prefer a Think, Pair, Share rather than just blurting out ideas is because what happens is each kid, although they're going to pull from the article, they're going to activate their own schema, and they have background knowledge and their own stories and their own thoughts on credit card debt. And in doing a Think, Pair, Share, I believe that the students will be able to learn a lot more from each other than just hearing me talk about it. I would then, after giving them a few minutes to think about it, listen to what their partners have to say and sharing what they have to say, we'd go into class, and I would specifically call on groups to share in class as a full class discussion what they came up with and ultimately why they think so many teenagers are in credit card debt. That was a great discussion. You had so many wonderful ideas on why teenagers are going into credit card debt and why it's such an issue. Before we move on to the computer lab to complete our final assignment for the day, let's review our objectives and find out if we have ultimately, first of all, identified the reasons teenagers have credit card debt by reading an article and answering questions. We did that as a class, and you talked about it in your Think, Pair, Share groups. And secondly, were you able to explain orally your opinion about teenagers and credit card debt by participating in your Think, Pair, Share? Yes, you just finished that as well. To close class today, we're going to learn a little bit more about credit cards and how credit cards work. You have about 30 minutes left of class to head to the computer lab and working on your Finding the Right Credit Card report. You'll want to follow along in the instructions. I will be there to help you along the way, but you are going to search 5 different credit cards. You're going to need to find the name of the card, the introductory rates, all things that we went over in the lecture in the previous class. You'll look at interest rates, fees, rewards and perks, transferring balances, service providers, and banks. You'll type this all up, and then once you've researched 5 credit cards, you'll answer a few questions on which one you like the best and why. Please note a few things. I did list a few websites for you as examples. Everything exists. Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. You can go to specific banks, Chase, Wells Fargo, creditcards.com. This is all listed in the instructions for you. I will be there to answer any questions. This must be typed, and it is due at the beginning of next class. Thank you guys for working hard today. Head to the computer lab. Have a blast. This is Financial Literacy with Mr. Fine. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry I couldn't be there to demonstrate live, but hopefully you got the gist of what my class looks like on a daily basis and how I try to incorporate literacy and full understanding on a daily basis as well. Thanks for your time.